Good to check out all those study materials. Any questions, comments, please email me or leave them below. I'm happy to help. Other than that, keep studying hard. It'll pay off. And let's get into our questions. So we are on question 71. You're given a bag of items to bring to your client's home on your first day of service. The bag contains a variety of stimuli that is age appropriate for your client. If you wanted to conduct a preference assessment using all the stimuli at once, what method would be most appropriate? Okay, so scenario, first day on the job, you need a preference assessment for your client. You have a large bag of items and you want to start assessing everything right away. Okay, maybe the client is higher functioning, or maybe you know a little bit about the client already. Whatever the case is, you want to use all the stimuli at once. So if we're talking about preference assessments, remember, what do we have? We have our single stimulus, we have our forced choice, we have multiple stimulus, and then you have your natural environment preference assessment, okay, where you just kind of let them engage and interact with the environment and you just observe, okay? So what method are we going to use here? What do we use a single stimulus assessment? Well, if we want to assess all stimuli at once, single stimulus would not be able to do that, right? Single stimulus it's only one stimulus at a time, right? You hold out a stimulus, you observe their interaction with the single stimulus you held out, record it, and then you pull your next stimulus, right? It's slower, okay? It's not going to evaluate everything all at once. As the name says, it's a single stimulus, right? So we know A is not it. What about forced choice? Well, forced choice is paired choice, right? Whatever you want to call it. You provide what? 2 stimuli at the same time, and you make the client choose. Again, are we assessing all stimuli at once? No, we're presenting 2 stimuli, and then we're replacing 1 or 2 of those, presenting another 2, okay? Forced choice, while more accurate, okay, than single stimulus, is still not assessing every single stimulus at once, okay? So what about multiple stimulus assessment? Yes, right? Remember, we have multiple stimulus with replacement and multiple stimulus without, okay? Multiple stimulus means what? 3 or more stimuli, okay, we're trying to assess. We're putting them all out at once and having the client pick, okay? So that's how we remember these. Single stimulus, when we're dealing with 1 stimulus. Forced choice is dealing with two stimuli. And then multiple stimulus, right, is 3 or more stimulus, okay, stimuli at a time, right? So if we want to conduct a preference assessment, okay, using all the stimuli at once, and we have a variety of stimuli, then C would be our best bet. Reinforcer assessment is different than a preference assessment. Remember, a preference assessment does not identify reinforcers, it identifies potential reinforcers, okay? So D would come after we've done our preference assessment. All right, 72. Dave is using a token economy to reinforce his client as his client completes math problems. Dave delivers a token every couple of problems that his client completes independently. What best describes this type of reinforcement? Okay, so we don't know exactly the reinforcement schedule we're on, right? We just know we're using a token economy and we're delivering them every couple of problems, okay? This could be variable, could be fixed. We're not quite sure, okay? But what do we do know, right? We know that every couple of problems is what type of reinforcement, okay? And if you're still lost, right, let's go to the answer choices, okay, and see what we're getting at, okay? So is this continuous reinforcement? No. What is continuous reinforcement? Continuous reinforcement is reinforcing every instance of behavior. That's your FR1. If we're not doing FR1, we're not doing continuous. Everything else is going to be intermittent, okay? So if Dave is delivering a token every couple of problems, this is intermittent reinforcement, okay? That's B. So if you were taking the test, B would look like the best answer. It looks really good, and it's probably the right answer, okay? But we always want to read all of our answer choices just to be sure there's not a better answer. So is C natural the best? Well, no, because this is very contrived, right? We're assuming a table, right? We have a token economy going, and we're contriving the opportunity to deliver these tokens, okay? It's not natural, right? This is more of a DTT contrived setting, okay? And then what about non-contingent? No, what is non-contingent reinforcement? Non-contingent reinforcement is delivering reinforcement without a contingency, right? Regardless of what's going on, you're on a schedule of reinforcement and you're delivering it no matter what. There is a contingency in place here. The contingency is if you do a couple of math problems, then you get a token, okay? So the best answer here is B, intermittent. So again, continuous is that FR1, right? Reinforcing every instance of behavior, okay? Intermittent is everything else, right? Any other thing, FR2, VI6, VR10, right? Every other reinforcement schedule that's not continuous is going to be intermittent. And that is what Dave is doing here. 73, as an RBT, you will be involved in task analysis and behavior chains. What is the distinction between the two? All right, so this is a very common question, right? We have a task analysis, okay? And then we have task chains or behavior chains. What is the difference, okay? The two are related, right? And there is a distinction. So A and D are out, okay? These are two different things. Don't confuse them. Sometimes people use them interchangeably, right? They're not the same thing, okay? Task analysis is different from the actual task chain and behavior chain. So what is the difference? Well, think about it. When we talk about behavior chains and task chaining, what are we talking about? We're talking about teaching these steps to a behavior, right? Forward chaining, backward chaining, total chaining, okay? We're teaching steps leading up to this terminal behavior, okay? To teach this complex skill, right? Cooking, cleaning, washing hands, showering, okay? All these things are behavior chains with steps that we're teaching individually. That's our behavior chain. So what is the task analysis? Well, the task analysis is the actual process of taking that complex behavior and breaking it down step by step. So it comes before the actual chain. If I was to say, I want to work on hand washing with my client, I would first perform a task analysis on hand washing to identify the steps I want to teach. Those steps that I identify would make up what? My behavior chain, okay? So that's the distinction, okay? Task analysis breaks down complex behavior. You actually teach the behavior chain, okay? Task analysis comes before the behavior chain. Behavior chain, you can teach forward, can teach backward, can teach total, okay? So there is a distinction. It's important to know the distinction, okay? So you're not using the incorrect language when talking about these things. 74, Tina is a fourth grader in a general education classroom. 2 months ago, Tina would get up from her seat several times during class for attention. A behavior plan that utilized extinction was put in place and the behavior went away. Last week, Tina got up from her seat 10 times in one class. What is the most likely explanation for the behavior occurring again? All right, so if you've been following my videos, okay, hopefully you'll be able to get this question very quickly, okay? If not, let's talk about it. So one of the most frustrating things that happens when we are using extinction is we effectively use extinction, the behavior goes away, and then all of a sudden one day, the behavior is back, okay? It might happen 1 day, 2 days, but it appears out of nowhere, okay? And it can be a cause for panic for parents, right? It shouldn't be a cause for panic for you. Remember, your job is to stay calm, okay, in these situations. What is the explanation for this previously extinguished, put on extinction behavior suddenly reemerging? What is the explanation? Is it an extinction burst? Well, no, what is an extinction burst? An extinction burst happens at the beginning, right? It's that temporary increase in behavior, okay, in frequency and intensity when a behavior is first put on extinction, okay? This is happening 2-3 months after the behavior is already gone, right? Already been on extinction. Okay, so extinction burst happened a long time ago. Not A. What about B? Spontaneous recovery. What is spontaneous recovery? Spontaneous recovery is a sudden reemergence of a previously extinguished behavior. It sounds pretty good. What happened here? We previously extinguished this behavior. It suddenly reemerged. Spontaneous recovery. Okay. So and it's not Tina's automatically reinforced. Okay, this is a socially mediated situation. Tina's bored in class. We never talk about these mentalisms, bored, tired. Okay, it doesn't explain the behavior. We use ABA scientific terms, right? Spontaneous recovery. So again, the process of extinction, if you wanted to break it down, okay, you would have extinction, implement extinction, extinction burst, okay, behavior extinguished, and then if that behavior suddenly comes back, we have spontaneous recovery. The best way to respond to a behavior in spontaneous recovery is to continue putting it on extinction. The worst thing you can do is see an old behavior reoccur and treat it differently than how you treated it the first time. Okay. Don't panic. Just remember the behavior plan and what you did the first time Tina was getting up out of her seat. Implement it again, and the behavior will go right back down. Okay. Spontaneous recovery is predictable. Okay. It's common. It's not out of the ordinary. All right. 75. If you're working with the client and accidentally reinforce the behavior, what is the best course of action for you to take as an RBT? Okay, so this situation will happen at some point in your RBT career. It happens to BCBAs. We accidentally reinforce something we shouldn't have. Okay, it's just part of working with humans, right? Humans are unpredictable. Okay, they can catch us off guard. We can be unprepared at times. It just is going to happen. How you react to it is what's most important. So you're, say, working with a client and you know they're attention seeking and they do something, let's say they knock off a cup of water off the counter, look at you, you give it attention, and now they start knocking more cups off the counter. So you accidentally reinforce that behavior. Okay, the mistake is made. What do you do next? Okay. A, let the parents know immediately. Not really necessary. Okay, you don't need to run to the parents and tell them, hey, I accidentally reinforced this behavior. Okay, because they can't really do anything about it. If anything, they might just start giving it more attention if that's what the function is. Okay, so it's not really necessary. Okay, especially if it's a first thing, right? They're not going to be able to help you with this, right? They're not going to develop the behavior plan for you. Okay, so A is not really necessary. B, let your supervisor know as soon as possible. Yes, right. This is a good choice. Okay. Remember, what does our task list say? Effective communication with a supervisor, seek clinical direction as soon as possible. If you accidentally reinforce something you shouldn't have, immediately text or call or reach out to the supervisor. Hey, this happened. How should I handle it? Okay. And they might say, well, just continue your session. Okay. Take some data and we'll discuss more. Okay, I really need to see it. It might not be a big deal. It might be a big deal, right? We're not sure yet. But the important thing is what? Communicate effectively. Okay, communicate promptly, seek clinical direction, task list items. That's what you would want to do in this situation. So B is good, right? It's not the strongest answer, but it's a good answer. So let's read the rest of them. C, don't report it, but make sure you correct your mistake. Well, you want to try and correct your mistake and ensure you're not going to reinforce it again, but you need to report it, right? It's something that might have changed a behavior. Okay. If you're changing behavior, you should be documenting this. Okay. So C is out. D, overcorrect your mistake by punishing the reinforced behavior. Definitely not. This happens a lot, right? Where you get in a situation and maybe they're escalating and you don't know how to get out of it. So you start, not you, but RBT start punishing the behavior. Definitely don't do that, right? We definitely do not just want to start introducing punishment, okay, to make up for maybe a mistake. All right. So C, D, not correct. B, not the strongest answer, right? But still a good answer and the best one we have. Remember, we need the best answer on the RBT exam. Okay. And the best answer is here is if you make a mistake or you accidentally reinforce the behavior, immediately let your supervisor know and go from there. 76, reinforcement and punishment are both acceptable interventions. But reinforcement should always be used whenever possible instead of punishment. Which of the following answer choices describes a potential problem with punishment? So the golden rule of ABA is use reinforcement whenever possible. Use reinforcement first if possible. Avoid punishment if possible. Okay. We should be using reinforcement for nearly everything we're doing because there are potential problems with punishment. Okay. And what are the potential problems with punishment, right? Punishment is, okay, a primary principle of behavior change, right? It is an effective way to change behavior. That's not the issue. What are the issues with punishment? Okay. A, punishment is not permanent. If you stop punishment, the behavior will come back. Yes, punishment is not permanent. Okay. Reinforcement is permanent, right? If reinforcement is done the right way, okay, and faded the correct way, reinforcement can be permanent. Punishment is not. Okay. If you stop punishment, that behavior will come back. Remember, punishment's reducing. Okay. So we're taking away the ability for that person to engage in some way. Okay. Because we're reducing a behavior. Behavior happens to gain or get rid of something. If we're taking that away, okay, and we stop, well, they're going to go back to what they were doing to gain or get rid of something. Punishment is not permanent. Okay. So A is a potential problem. Always read all your answer choices, particularly for the all the above questions, right? You never want to get caught off guard and not realize it's an all the above question. You answer A and then you just move on. Don't get lazy, okay? Read all your question choices. B, punishment does not teach, I should say teach a replacement behavior. Right. That's why we recommend we use punishment in conjunction or with other interventions. Because punishment alone will not teach a replacement behavior, right? Punishment targets a behavior for decrease, but it doesn't actually teach what you should be doing. Reinforcement does, because we're increasing a behavior. We're increasing the behavior we want to see. Punishment is decreasing something we don't want to see, but it's not actually teaching a replacement behavior. So B is a potential problem as well. And then C, clients can resist punishment, leading to harsher forms of punishment. So punishment can have the effect where they start to resist it, they start to habituate to it, they start to get used to the punishment, the level of punishment, and we have a choice. We can either stop punishment or we can increase the punishment, which is something we don't necessarily ever want to do, right? So all of these are potential problems with punishment. All of these are reasons why reinforcement should be used whenever possible instead of punishment. Okay, why not always? While it's not always possible, okay, it should be our first go-to when possible. Okay, so A, B, and C are all potential problems with punishment. 77, Bren is working on functional communication with her daughter. She wants her daughter to make requests appropriately. Bren will play a song that she knows her daughter does not like. Only when Bren's daughter says, please stop playing this song, will Bren stop playing the song. Stopping the song is what? All right, so a behavior question, right? Pretty straightforward behavior question. What do we know? She wants to make requests appropriately, okay? She evokes these requests, how? Playing a song she knows her daughter does not like, okay? And then what happens? Only when Bren's daughter says, please stop playing the song, Bren stops playing the song. She wants to increase the behavior of functional request, okay? So by stopping the song, right, letting Bren's daughter escape from the song, okay, she's what? Well, hopefully she's reinforcing the song. So what are we doing, right? This is obviously a positive, negative punishment reinforcement question. So how do we ask? How do we start? Ask ourselves what? Are we adding something or are we taking away something? Well, we're obviously taking away the song, okay, because we're stopping the song from playing. So it's negative, right? Negative, take away. And then are we trying to increase or decrease? Well, we're trying to increase the functional request. So therefore it's reinforcement. So what's our answer? Negative, take away the song, reinforcement, increase the functional communication behavior. So therefore our answer is B, negative reinforcement. This is a very straightforward behavior question. If this one wasn't simple for you, go back, review your behavioral terms, review positive, negative reinforcement, positive, negative punishment, okay? And understand antecedents, behaviors, consequences, right? Understand what you're trying to accomplish here. What is Bren trying to accomplish by stopping the song, okay? 77 should be very easy. If it's not, go back and review. 78, the last 3 sessions, your client's dad reported to you that the client is going to bed at midnight and waking up at 4 a.m. What course of action should you take as the RBT? Okay, not uncommon, especially if you're working with the autism population, where sleep is a problem for our clients, right? They have issues falling asleep, issues waking up, issues staying up too late, et cetera, et cetera. So you're in that situation where the parent reports to you that your client is tired because they slept 3-4 hours last night. What course of action should you take as the RBT? A, report this to your BCBA and make a note in your session notes. Pretty good option, right? Hey, this is what's going on at the house. Our client is not getting good sleep. What should we do? And then just make a note in your session notes for the other team members. Okay. A is a good answer, right? It hits a bunch of the task list, right? About seeking clinical advice, session notes, okay, reporting variables. So A is pretty good. Okay. Let's keep reading. B, offer advice to dad on sleeping techniques. What's the problem with B? Right? What's your role as an RBT? Your role as an RBT is implementation. Okay. Your role is not parent training. So you might report this to your BCBA and later on you help with parent training, but in the moment, you shouldn't offer advice on sleeping techniques. Okay. It's overstepping your qualification and your competency. Okay. C, modify your treatment on the days that your client did not sleep well. Well, not your decision to make, right? That's going to be your supervisor's decision. Okay. So if after you report to your BCBA, after you talk about it, and then they decide to make modifications, that's another thing. But your first course of action should not be modifying the plan, okay, based on poor sleep. Okay. So C, again, is incorrect. And D, allow your client to take a nap if they request to do so during session. Again, modifying the day, modifying the treatment is not your first course of action. It's not your go-to, okay? The first things first, always is what? Report to your BCBA, make a note in your session notes, discuss it, talk about it, formulate a plan, okay? And then start maybe doing some of these other things. But your first course of action, just like when you reinforce a behavior you shouldn't, is report it to your BCBA, okay, and go from there. 79, use the graph below. What is the average frequency of elopement for Chad per session? All right, so I worded this one intentionally a little strange, okay, because sometimes the wording on the exams are a little strange, okay? Just to show you that even if the wording is off or strange, the question is still not that difficult, okay? Because all you want to figure out and deduce is, what am I answering? Okay, so of course I'm using this graph, okay? We've got a line graph of Chad's elopement behavior. We have our sessions, we have our frequency of elopement on this side, okay? We see our dots, our data points indicating the level of frequency. So we have all this information and they want to know, what is the average frequency of elopement per session? Okay, so what is our average? How do we get an average? You get an average by adding up all your data points and then dividing it by the total number of data points, meaning we have 5 data points. So we'll add up the 5 data points and then divide it by 5. That'll give us an average. So data point 1, 4, data point 2, 6. So we have 10, right? Data point 3, 5, we have 15. Data point 4 is 4, we have 19, 5, 6, right? Data point 5 is 6. That leaves us with 25 instances of elopement. We want to know per session. We want to know the average. So let's divide them by our total number of sessions, which is 5. 25 divided by 5 gives us what? 6, 4, 5, or 25? Well, of course, it's 5, right? So simple average question. Again, any sort of math you do on the exam is going to be very straightforward. They just want to know, do you know how to do averages, rates, that type of thing? Okay, so again, very simple graphing question. As long as you know where the data points lie, you'll be fine. Okay, so again, average, get the average, add up all your data points, and then divide it by the total number of data points. Okay, finally, 80. AJ is a nonverbal 5-year-old who receives services in a clinical setting. AJ's team uses errorless teaching with him when working on receptive color identification and matching. AJ will now wait for a physical prompt before selecting a color when given an SD. What best describes AJ as he relates to prompting? Okay. How would you describe AJ's relationship with prompting? Okay. He clearly needs it, right? He's clearly waiting for it. Okay. So what is the problem here? Especially where we've been physically prompting him errorlessly, okay, over and over again. And now all he's doing is waiting for this physical prompt to be delivered. Okay. Is he resistant to prompts? No, it seems like the prompt is working very well, right? He's waiting for this prompt now. Okay. If anything, he's loving the prompts, right? So AJ is probably what? He's probably prompt dependent. Okay. He's not manipulating the RBTs, right? That we're making a lot of assumptions there that we can't track, measure, or really know. And you're never really too old to receive physical prompts. Okay. If that's what the behavior plan calls for, then we're going to use physical prompts. AJ is now prompt dependent. The reason we fade prompts, the reason it's so important to fade prompts is to avoid this situation where your client becomes prompt dependent. Remember, the prompt replaces temporarily the SD. But if the prompt becomes the new SD, okay, then that behavior you want to see is not going to happen until you prompt. And this is what's happening here, okay? AJ is waiting for that prompt before selecting a color. He's become prompt dependent. They failed to fade the prompt correctly, okay? And now we're going to have to undo this. Okay, that wraps it up for today. Remember, visit our website, rbtexamreview.com, or our shop, gumroad.com/rbtexamreview for all of our study materials. Please like and subscribe if you are enjoying these videos. Questions, comments, leave them below. Happy to help. Other than that, have a great week, study hard, and I will see you soon.